Let's go up a little higher. Let's go $50 trillion. I'm not playing around anymore. Today we're gonna learn how to play craps, also known as street dice. Let's roll. Hard six, Snick Eyes, Streetcar. Craps, you should know it, and it's part of the Playing Games Essential Dice Game series. It's approved. Craps is one of the most popular dice games of our time, and its dressed up version is found in most casinos. Craps gets its origins from a less classy street dice game though. But the reason for the name, according to the legend anyways, has to do with the squatting pose most street dice players have when rolling and betting on the dice. Some say that it comes from the French word for toad, crapaud. Let's be honest though, it does look like the English word's meaning as well. Objective. Craps is a dice betting game in which you're either betting on the success or failure of the dice roller. When playing craps in a casino, there are dozens of ways to win or lose. Just look at all this info on the craps table. Holy craps. We're not even touching that today. Let's just learn the basics and you can figure out the rest in Vegas. Here's what you'll need. 2 dice and some betting tokens, or cold hard cash money. Gameplay. The game starts with a player known as the shooter rolling 2 dice. The shooter is determined by having each player roll a die. The player with the highest roll goes first. Note, some players will ask for either the high or low roll to earn the first shooter spot. Make sure you agree on that first. And if there's a tie, just re-roll. I'm rolling, my opponent's rolling. 5. We agreed on the high roll winning. I got a 5, I'm the shooter. Before the shooter's first roll, they must put a bet in the pot. The other player must match that bet. Matching a bet is called a fade. All right, let's put our money where our mouth is. I'm gonna bet $1,000. And then my opponent is gonna match that. They're gonna fade that with another 1,000. And we put a little secure lock on it. Once all the bets are in the pot, the shooter rolls both dice. The first roll is called the come out roll. If the shooter rolls a 7 or 11 on the come out, they immediately win the bets in the pot. This is called rolling a natural. The opponent must add a new bet if they want to play again. If the shooter rolls a 2, 3, or 12 on the come out roll, the shooter loses, and the shooter must add a new bet if they want to continue playing. You may have heard of nicknames for these losing first rolls. Snake Eyes, 2 1s. Aces caught a deuce, a 1 and a 2. And double 6s can also be called midnight or boxcars. Hang out to the end of the video if you want to hear me list the other craps combo nicknames. It's worth it, trust me. So what happens if a 2, 3, 7, 11, or 12 are not rolled on the come out? Well, then the shooter rolls again without the pot changing, at least in the simple version. Whatever number was rolled, in this example a 6, that number will become what's known as the shooter's point. Again, this can be any number other than 2, 3, 7, 11, or 12. And this point number will change often from round to round. If on the next roll, the shooter rolls their point, in this case a 6, that number will win the bets. Now the only other number that matters after the shooter's point number 6 is the number 7. The shooter will roll over and over until they either get their point, a 6, or a 7. If they get a 7, they lose their bet. Rolling a 7 here also means the shooter must give the dice to the opponent, making them the new shooter for the next round. The previous shooter must add a new bet and the game otherwise resets. The come out, or the stage 1 rules, apply to the new shooter. If a number other than the losing 2, 3, 12, or a winning 7 or 11 is rolled, then that new number becomes the current shooter's point. Possible shooter's points could be 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. The current shooter must roll that new point again before rolling a losing 7. And those are the basic rules to street dice or craps. Okay, so I'm the shooter. I roll my 2 dice. I have a 6, a 3 and 3. Well, that is not a winning roll. A winning roll is only 7 or 11 for me, the shooter. For my opponent, if I rolled a 2, 3, or 12, they would win and I would lose. So the money stays. And in this simple version, there are no side bets, so it just stays here. 1,000, 1,000. So now, since I rolled a 6 on my come out roll, my point is 6. That means I have to roll another 6 before I roll a 7. 7 is always the losing roll after the come out for the shooter. 7 is excellent to roll on your first roll, but horrible to roll after your come out roll if you're the shooter. You lose on a 7. You don't lose on an 11. 11 is inconsequential at this point, but a 7 is a losing roll. So I have to roll again. I roll. Okay, I rolled a 10. That means nothing to anyone. There are only 2 possible rolls that mean something in this simplified version. My point, which is a 6, and a 7. So I keep rolling until one of those 2 things happens. I roll a 7. That's bad for me. A 7 is a 7 out here. It's not a 7 in. I am out my money. So my money goes to the opponent. Now they could say, let it roll. They put their money back down and then I have to find another $1,000 to put in. Or you could up the ante. Let's do that. I'm like, all right, you keep your $1,000. We're going big. Let's go $5 billion. So I put in my 5 billion and they have to put in their 5 billion. So I lost the point there. They won. And because I lost the point, it's their roll now. So they're gonna roll the dice. They're gonna roll their first roll. It is boxcars. That's double 6. That is a losing roll. Remember, 2, 3, and 12, they're hard to roll, but they rolled it. 1 in 36 chance, and that's what they rolled. So their $5 billion becomes mine. So now here I have $10 billion. Not bad. I could leave it in and say fade that. And then they have to add in another 5 billion to play. So I keep my money and I'm earning more now. Now they lost on the come out roll. That does not mean they lose the dice. You only lose the dice if you lose on your point roll after the come out. So the come out is your first roll. If you lose on it, you continue to roll the dice. So my opponent is gonna roll the dice again. They roll an 8, and an 8 is not a winning roll. It's not a 7 or 11, and it's not a losing roll. It's not a 2, 3, or 12. So this is their point. They must roll an 8 before they roll a 7. So they're gonna keep rolling an 11. The only numbers that mattered were 8 and 7, and they rolled an 8, so they win. So they take their money, and they say, I'm gonna fade my 5 billion, so I must put 5 billion back in to continue to play. So they've earned their 5 billion back. Okay, now they roll again, boom. Okay, their first come out roll is a 5. Not a winning roll again, not a 7 or 11, not a losing roll, not a 2, 3, or 12. So their point is 5. Now the only numbers that matter are 5 and 7. 7 loses for them, 5 wins. They roll 5, they got it. So they took my money. I just can't deal with this. I really need to go home with some money. Let's go up a little higher. Let's go $50 trillion. I'm not playing around anymore. I'm winning this money. So I put my 50 trillion in. They've got all their billions and thousands, who cares? This is the big one, 50 trillion. All right, so they still have the roll. They roll 10. 6 and 4 is 10. They must get another 10 before they roll a 7. Let's see what they do. They got a 7, boo-hoo. I take their 50 trillion plus my 50 trillion, and I'm satisfied. I'm gonna go home. And that's how you play craps. Easy, right? Okay, I didn't forget. Let's go over the colorful combination nicknames. These are just some of the most universal ones. Once you play a few games with pros, you'll hear some really crazy and not safe for work ones. Doubles, such as 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, and so on, are called hard numbers because they're less likely than other combinations. So 2 2s would be a hard 4, 3 3s would be a hard 6, and so on. Combinations that come up more easily are called easy numbers. But easy and hard, that's not why you stuck around. Let's hear some of the more fun craps slang. There are 36 possible dice combinations in craps, so let's get started. 2s, a 1 and a 1. A 1 and 1 is also called snake eyes, or the eyes from the bad boys from Illinois. 3s, a 2 and 1 could be called ace deuce, Australian yo 11, ace and a duck, cross eyes, little Phoebe, or most commonly, ace caught a deuce. 4s, 2 and 2 is a hard 4 or ballerina. A 3 and 1 is known as Ace Trey the Country Way, or as Abbott and Costello would say, Little Joe. 5s. The 4 and 1 combination is known as the Fever or Fever 5. The 2 and 3 combination is known as Michael Jordan, because 2 and 3 like his jersey number. 6s. If you have 2 3s, that's the hard 6, also known as Brooklyn Forest, National Average, Colombian Breakfast, or Trey Trey the winning way. 4 and 2, the easy 6, is known as Jimmy Hicks, or 2x4. The easy 6, 5, and 1 is known as 60 from Dixie, or the timeout. 7s. 7 is the most common number, and they're called naturals, or 7 in, if they are shot on the come out roll. If they're rolled after the come out roll, they're known as 7 out, because, you know, it's bad. Here are some of the combinations. 6-1 is called the devil, or 6-1, you done. A 5 and 2 is known as Skinny Dugan or Benny Blue, or sometimes Cinco Dos Adios. 4-3 can be called Skinny McKinney or Big Red. 8s. 4-4's hard 8s is sometimes called Painting Windows, or as I coined it, SpongeBob SquarePair. 6-2 is an easy 8. 5-3 is another easy 8 and sometimes called Aider from Decatur. 9s. A 6 and 3 is sometimes known as Lou Brown or Nina from Pasadena, or even Nina Ross like a boss. A 5-4 is sometimes known as Jesse James or Revolver or Railroad 9. 10s. 5-5, which is a hard 10, is sometimes known as Puppy Paws or Big Ben or Shooting Stars. Speed limit is another one. Can't drive 55. Some people have called it Big Something Daddy from East Cincinnati. You can put that together. And 6 and 4, which is the easy 10, is sometimes called Tennessee. 11s. 6 and 5 is called 6-5 No Jive or Yo-11. And finally 12s. The 6 is known as Boxcars, Midnight, or All the Dots. See the whole list on my craps guide linked below. Please comment, like, and subscribe to help this channel grow. Also help support the hard work that goes into these videos by digitally donating. You are great. See you next time on Playing Games.